Hello, Pocatello.
Hello, Pocatello.
Hello, Pocatello. Welcome to Hello, Pocatello, brought to you by Restyle Studios, where we highlight the people making a difference in our community. I'm your host, Keith Cook. This week, we have Kirk Lepchenske. Hello, Kirk. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing very well.
Good.
Mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Give you a real quick rundown. I moved from Utah to Pocatello, Idaho in 1978. In 1996, I moved to Boise, moved back to Pocatello in 2010 or 11, I'm not sure which. Went back to ISU to finish up my business degree. Worked for Idaho Central Credit Union for a while, Barry's Ski and Sports for a while, and I think I finally found my home at the Chamber of Commerce. I love my job and every minute of it. So,
How long have you been at the Chamber?
I've been at the Chamber for 3.5 years.
Nice. And what do you do there?
I am the membership manager.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. And
Yeah, my pleasure.
all you do for the community. I know that we've seen you around quite often lately.
Yeah.
We just joined my wife's been part of the Chamber for quite a while.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I
a long
just
time.
started going. She finally dragged me to a couple meetings.
Yeah. Yep. It's awesome. We have a lot of fun, but we really try to not make everything just fun or just a party. We try to make everything a networking opportunity, something to help develop your business or you as a professional person.
For sure.
But we do have fun while we do it.
Well, right on. Well, we'll get started off in some of these questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
We'll start off with kind of an ominous one. Let's start out with the big one. What do you love most about Pocatello?
Wow. That is a tough one. Two things scream to mind. The mountain biking. That's what kind of kept me here. After I moved back, I really got into mountain biking because I was working for Barry's Ski and Sports at the time. And if you work there, you ride. It's not a choice. So
Yeah.
I got into it and then just got completely addicted to it. But other than that, I would say that my favorite thing about Pocatello is the people. It never ceases to amaze me how if you need help with something or if there's a good cause, there is always people in this community that will step up and help. And it is just fantastic. It never ceases to amaze me, the way people get involved.
Oh, for sure. Do you feel like you're in a good spot to recognize all that stuff where you're at with the Chamber?
Yep, for sure. We get to see a lot of the really generous things people do. One of my favorite parts of my job is giving out awards to people that do outstanding things. And so we get to do that once a month. And like I said, I'm never ceases to amaze me. It's always difficult to pick like our member of the month every month because there's so many examples of wonderful things that the people in this community do. It's tough to nail them down. So.
Yeah, as a membership manager, what kinds of things do you do to connect local businesses together?
One of the big things with the Chamber of Commerce, I mean, everybody knows every Chamber of Commerce, has a lot of parties, a lot of get-togethers, things like that. We really go to great lengths to make sure that at every event, it's not just a social or drinking beer or eating food or something like that. We always try to make it so that people have the opportunity to network, meet people that can help each other. Something we just started doing, and I take no credit for this at all. This is our event staff. We have our monthly all-member luncheon, and people used to come, and everybody that came together would sit at the same table, and it kind of dawned on us, we're like, hey, so they're just getting to know the people they already know. So we started doing these like kind of drawings and type stuff to get people to sit with different people at different tables. And then we also give them prompts, questions to ask each other that helps get the dialogue going. And I'm just absolutely thrilled with the events girls in our office to come up with that because we are seeing results from that already. People are always telling me all the time, oh my gosh, I met so-and-so at the luncheon and had no idea he did this or had no idea she could help me here. And I absolutely love that stuff. I love putting people with other people that can help them.
Yeah, I think pushing people a little bit outside of their comfort zone helps them, develop a lot more skills and maybe be more willing to put themselves out there where before they might not have.
Yeah.
Like the last meeting I just went to, my wife told me, you better be ready to stand up.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I like to say, there's no growth in your comfort zone. You got to step out of that comfort zone to develop yourself as a professional, as a public speaker. I used to be petrified to speak in public, and it doesn't faze me a bit anymore. Doing things like this used to make me nervous, and I'm so used to this kind of stuff now. It doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, that kind of leads into the next thing I was going to talk to you about. being around all these different events, I've definitely noticed you're kind of a central point of contact for a lot of these things. And a lot of people said that you're a natural connector. So what would you feel your secret is for helping people feel welcome and included in the business community?
Oh, that's a good question. I like that. And thanks for the compliment. That's very flattering. I really do go out of my way. I don't know why. It's just an innate instinct of mine that I have, whether I have this job or not. I love connecting people who don't know each other together for mutual growth, development, whatever. Even if it's somebody like, say you needed, your car painted, and I'm like, oh, I know a guy that's fantastic at this. Let me introduce you and, take you over to, say, Premier Collision Center and introduce you to Mike and those guys, and they get you taken care of. And I just love doing that kind of stuff.
Oh, for sure. Do you have any specific ones that you've noticed of two businesses that you've kind of introduced to each other that have done some cool things?
In all honesty, there's so many. It would be really hard to even narrow it down. I have people calling me constantly, hey, do you know anybody that does A, B, or C? And it's like, well, yeah, I do. Let me contact them and make sure it's okay with them to give their contact information and do that. But yeah, I really couldn't narrow it down to one. If I really thought about it for a long time, I could.
Just kind of like a constant middleman.
Yep, constantly.
All the somebody time. Will call you, hey, do you know somebody that does this? And
yeah,
you'd be like, I know 3. Yep. Here's their numbers.
Yep, exactly. And that is, you attended Chamber Champions last week. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the big things there. It seems like every week at the meeting, I'll have somebody come up and ask me, hey, do you have somebody that does this? Or do you know anybody that does this or that? And I just love it. A lot of times I'll tell them, well, I don't, but I will find somebody and I'll get back to you. So.
Yeah, for a good part of my life, I didn't even know really what Chamber did. I've always heard of Chamber.
Yeah, many people don't.
And you see them, but you don't know exactly what, as a kid, what the function is. So what would you, elevator speech, so to speak, to kind of let people know what the Chamber does?
The Chamber, I wish I had our mission statement completely memorized, but what we do is, everything we do, we are focused on creating a healthier business environment in our immediate area. We want every business, big and small, to be healthy, successful, involved in the community. And I think that is our number one focus. If you compare the Pocatello Chubbuck Chamber of Commerce to others, it's hard to compare. We were involved in one way or another in over 300 events in 2024. So we really do try to help. We help out whenever we can. We help the Civitans with, Revive at 5. We help downtown Pocatello with Brewfest and Oktoberfest and all that. Pocatello, we host that, and then we donate all the money from Pocatello to Portneuf River Vision, so that help clean up the river and build boat put-ins and takeouts and all that. So yeah, that's basically what we do in a nutshell. Just try to create a comfortable environment for people to do business. Be
a resource, but also friendship and camaraderie and all that stuff. Kind of get everybody on the same page, let them know, government stuff that may have been passed that may affect businesses, things like that.
Yep. Not all chambers of commerce get involved with the government, but we do. We are 100% nonpartisan. We, like my boss, Matt, the CEO, I have no idea if he's a Republican or a Democrat. No idea. But he and I, while the legislature is in session, every Thursday morning, we meet via Zoom with our legislative committee and all of our legislators. And we discuss issues and let them know what is important to us, what we will take a stand on, what we won't take a stand on. And like I said, completely nonpartisan. It's whatever is good for Pocatello, Chubbuck, Bannock County, and our members. That is what we are concerned with. Republican, Democrat, Independent, none of that matters one bit to us. It's what is best for our community.
Oh, for sure. So on the last podcast that we had, talked with Nick Hopman about how his murals and stuff, that plays into the culture of Pocatello.
Yeah.
How do you feel that the chamber contributes to the culture of Pocatello?
Well, since you talk about the murals, one of my favorite murals in the entire town is on the backside of our building. And it looks like a postcard. It says Pocatello, Idaho, and it's got a shadows of the mountains and the sunset and everything, and a really cool shadow of a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
And I love doing that kind of stuff. I love this idea of the murals on the buildings that has come around in the last few years. I couldn't be more for it. I absolutely love it. And we try to, there's an example of a good example. The city called me a few weeks ago, and I'm not going to say exactly who, but they're like, hey, who would you recommend to do the mural on the side of City Hall? And I'm like, well, I've got 3 people that I can get you in contact with, see which one of them can help you. And so I gave them numbers of 3 local artists. And yeah, they got that great big old huge logo on the side of the City Hall now, which I think is just fantastic. And then you mentioned Nick specifically. If you haven't seen it, the new skate park, Nick did a great mural on the Idaho shaped ramp. And it is really cool. Great work. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good. Do you feel like kind of the chamber, by nurturing businesses and stuff, they have really good handle on being able to kind of steer the culture of Pocatello by what businesses are promoted or things like that?
Yeah, in a way, but we don't want to play favorites, but yeah, we do want positivity. That anybody you speak with from the Chamber of Commerce, you'll hear the words community, positivity all the time. And those are things that we just really, really believe in. And so, yeah, we kind of guide, but not steer, kind of like a raft going down a river. We might try to guide it a certain way, but yeah, just any way we can help, we are all for it.
Awesome. So we'll switch gears a little bit. How do you personally measure success in your role at the Chamber?
Hands down, my number one goal and priority at the Chamber of Commerce is my retention rate. Because to me, retention rate says this percentage of your members like what you're doing. The national average, I'm going to brag for a second. I hope that's okay. Not like I don't always anyway.
That's why we're here.
The national average for retention rate is between 77 and 78%. And the Pocatello Chubbuck Chamber of Commerce for the last 2 years has fluctuated between 90 and 95% retention rate. One of the highest in the entire country. I went to a chamber executives conference in Atlanta, Georgia, early this spring. And there were literally people from other chambers of big cities that I had to pull out my laptop and show them my numbers because they thought I was lying.
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
don't
like,
think
no,
there's schools that do that good.
Yeah. Yeah. I won't say from what town, but I had a lady sitting right next to me and asked me how big Pocatello is. And I tell her, and she's like, there's no way you have that many members and that high of a retention rate. My town is 10 times your size and I don't have that many. And I just kind of shrugged and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I go, we have, 796 or 7 businesses right now, which is insane for a town our size. It's crazy to have that high of a number. And then when they asked about retention rate and I said, it's, well over 90%, this lady sitting next to me, she's like, no, you're fudging your numbers. I'm like, no, really? So I pulled up the Chamber of Commerce website thing and I'm like, here, you can do the math yourself if you want.
Yeah, I think maybe that's a hidden secret about Pocatello, because talking with the Civitans, the same type of thing. They've got a lot more members than most of the other clubs.
Yeah.
And I think it's something in the water here in Pocatello.
Yeah. Civitans, Rotary, all those. Yeah. People, that's another thing I just love about Pocatello. It's like so many people want to be involved in one way or another. It's never hard to find volunteers.
Yeah.
I serve on the board of directors for the Portneuf Greenway Foundation, and I'm approached constantly about people. Hey, as soon as you have an opening on that board, I'd like to be considered. And I've got like a list of people. I'm like, okay, as soon as we have an opening come up, I'll let you know. And
yeah. Well,
people just love it.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and the mission and why that's important to you?
Yeah. The Greenway Foundation became a high priority to me. My brother-in-law and he donated the land and I was the project manager for, if you're familiar with out on South Bannock Highway, there's kind of a bicycle rest stop with a bunch of red benches and a tool station and watering station and all that kind of stuff. And that is the point that I would have to put my finger on as where my view of Pocatello is cemented. We had people stopping by. We'd work on it after work, many, many times till after dark. I remember sometimes we were out there doing work by headlights off of our trucks.
Yeah.
But people would stop and say, what are you guys doing? And we'd explain it to them and they'd just like, wow, that is so cool. I'd really like to mention a specific local businessman by name, but he probably wouldn't appreciate it if I did. But he saw me out there one night and he stopped. He came over and goes, what are you doing? And I explained it to him and he's like, that sounds really cool. I'll be right back. And he came back with a big old fat check. And he goes, you guys have enough money to finish this? And I'm like, no, we're still trying to raise money. And he's like, well, I hope this helps. And he handed me a check for a bunch of money. And I'm just like, yeah, that will put us over the finish line. I'm quite sure. So to get back to your question, how I got involved with that is I was contacted by several people from the Greenway Foundation about, hey, we love this thing. It's really cool. Cycling is huge in Pocatello. So that got me interested. And then Rory Urchel, he was about to step off of the Greenway Foundation board of directors and asked if I would be interested in coming on. And I'm like, oh, absolutely. And I can't remember how many years ago that was. It's been a long time. I've been on the board for quite a while. And it's
crazy.
exciting. I love the Greenway. Our goal is to have continuous connected paved trails. Ultimate someday pie in the sky dream is we would love to have a connected paved loop all the way around Pocatello and Chubbuck. So people can ride their bikes and scooters, to work, to everything. We would love to have it all connected.
Yeah, I was just driving down Pocatello Creek today and saw that they have a bike trail on there.
Gee,
and I remember reading about it and then forgot about it.
I was really hoping you'd ask about that.
Yeah.
So great. Yeah. One of the most exciting things to happen to the Greenway in as long as I can remember, maybe in the entire history, one stretch that many of us, myself included, thought would be impossible to ever have a paved trail on is that hillside from Monte Vista down to Pocatello Creek Road. Well, thank heavens for the Seibert family. Mike and Scott Seibert stepped up and they're like, well, we'll grant you an easement across our property so you can cut switchbacks down that steep hill. And so that's what you see as part of the work going on right there. And then roughly right about the same time, Idaho Transportation Department came to us and like, hey, as long as we're doing this huge project with this Fly Y, would you guys want us to put a paved bike path parallel to it? And we're just like, yeah, absolutely could not believe. But they're like, okay, well, we need you to come up with $100,000 match money and we'll do it. You got to have some skin in the game, which I totally understood. So we're like, man, where are we going to come up with that kind of money? Where are we going to come up with that kind of money? It's when I was working at Idaho Central, gave a presentation to their marketing folks. They didn't even let me finish the presentation. He just goes, how much is this going to cost? And I go, right out $100,000. He goes, we'll pay it. We'll pay for it. I'm like, okay. So I'm pretty sure that little stretch from Pocatello Creek Road up to the wellness complex is going to be named something Idaho Central or Green, something like that. I'm sure there'll be green in there somehow. And then we are letting the Seibert family, they own Outback Golf Park. We're going to let them name that section. Right now, it's kind of looking tentatively like that might be called the Outback Trail.
Nice.
Something like that. We are almost for sure going to have both of those open by fall. The one, it looks like it's finished, from Pocatello Creek Road, but it's not. There has to be fence between the trail and the freeway, obviously for safety reasons.
Yep.
So the paving, I'm so thrilled. The paving, I just drove by there. It looks like they're wrapping up. So they will start putting in the fence. And we're hoping to have a great, big, huge ribbon cutting for both sections and have people ride their bikes or walk down to the wellness complex and, whatever. But we are just over the moon excited about those two sections.
Yeah, I have quite a few miles worth of trails here by the time they're done with all that.
And I was really afraid you're going to ask me, and I cannot remember. We're right around 21 miles right now. And oh man, I hope nobody quotes me on that because I could be wrong, but I know it's right around there. But those two sections right there were just monumental. If you notice the part you saw that's being paved right now, it is going to have access points to the Mountain View Event Center, Grace Lutheran School, hopefully Applebee's if they want to help us out there. So everyone will have access to that greenway. And there's a concert in town you want to go to and you're staying at a, Super 8 or something down there. You can just jump on the greenway and walk down to it. So
that'd be nice.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Be super helpful with all the hotels and all that stuff.
So, and we are really, really hoping in the not too distant future to have that trail continuous all the way clear over to East Center where all the hotels and restaurants are up there. And then connect to the hospital, which we've already got a trail that kind of runs from the hospital down to Franklin Middle School. So we want to get all that connected.
Nice. So is there any favorite spots you have at the current moment here in Pocatello that you like to ride?
Oh man, it depends on the day you ask me, but I would have to say that my favorite place to ride, of course, all of the City Creek area is I hope everyone in Pocatello realizes what a gem that is. But I'd have to say my favorite place to ride is probably West Fork of Mink Creek. It is just such a breathtakingly beautiful ride that's 10 minutes from my driveway. and I just, I can go up there, ride up that trail. And sometimes and this sounds so cheesy and corny, but it's absolutely true. I've had to stop before and just look around. It's like, wow. I mean, this is 10 minutes away from my house, and it is just the most beautiful, beautiful area.
Yeah. Sometimes you forget what this place is like.
Yep.
Until you've been gone for a minute, or
I'll tell you what, yeah, I certainly didn't appreciate it until I moved away for 15 years. And then when I came back, I saw our valley in a whole different light. I never recall noticing in the early spring all the different shades of green in our valley. As a kid, I never noticed that. Now as an adult, having lived in Boise for so long and coming back every spring, my wife and I comment constantly. It's like, we are so fortunate to live where we do. It is just gorgeous.
Yeah, I left the country for a little over a year, and when I came back, I totally forgot what it smelled like to smell the farms when the end gun's sprinkling in the morning and all that stuff. And it was just like, when I came back, it was just like a blast of a memory.
Yes, exactly. And, I'm old enough to remember back when Pocatello didn't smell that great. We had a lot of pollution blowing in from out west, but that's all cleaned up now. It doesn't stink here anymore.
Yep.
Another thing that, I was always real bitter about, people that call Pocatello the armpit of Idaho. And I've always said, you have obviously never spent any time there. If that's your opinion, you are horribly misinformed, and you're just making yourself look dumb by saying something like that.
Yeah, for sure. So in what ways does the chamber support or advocate for outdoor recreation and active living in the region?
Oh man, we always, one of the little things is almost everybody that comes to town passing through, they want trail maps. And so we have a bunch of trail maps down at the office. And then where I'm such an avid cyclist, I can always kind of help give directions where to go and all that. But we try to get involved with our next big thing coming up is going to be the Alzheimer's walk. We try to get involved with that stuff. Greenway, obviously, Healthy Cities USA, we're heavily involved with them. We really, really like to see our community active and busy. And I find that the more active and busy you are, the more involved you become. And the more involved you become, the happier you are, and the more you're going to like this area. I always notice that people that aren't real happy also don't get involved. And so I always try to encourage people, get involved with all these health organizations, the chamber, businesses, whatever you can volunteer for. Make good friends, and it keeps everybody involved. And we try to encourage any form of activity. Spinderella is a big one. We are not directly involved with Spinderella, but we absolutely definitely support it, help promote it. We love it. So we try to advertise a lot and promote a lot those types of events, the fun runs, the walks, the charity events, the rides, races, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because if the community is doing good, then you guys are doing good.
That's right. Absolutely.
Kind of feeds into each other, I guess you could say.
Absolutely.
So I know that you're passionate about building community. What's something you've recently seen in Pocatello that gave you real hope or pride?
Oh my gosh. There is so much going on right now. I was just driving through town yesterday, my wife and I was like, there's so much going on right now that people that don't see it, I don't know which direction they're looking. I mean, there's construction going on everywhere. But to narrow it down to one thing right now, there's a ton. But right now, I'm very, very excited about the direction that Idaho State University is going. In my entire lifetime, I don't recall this much pride in our local university, this much development, this much growth. You can't get away from the orange and black around here now. And I love that. Pauline Theros has been doing a fantastic job. The new president, Robert Wagner, I'm so, so optimistic about this guy. If you've ever had a chance to talk to him, it's just amazing. You standing there talking to that guy, you can feel the energy come off of him.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. So we like seeing that kind of stuff. A lot of development, a lot of things a lot of the stuff is confidential that I know that's coming up and I can't discuss, but there's a lot of really, really good things over the horizon.
Yeah. And a lot of cool things too. I just noticed one of the former ISU football players made it in the NFL.
Jared Allen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
And it's good having things like that to tie to our community.
And not only is he a great athlete, he's an incredible human being.
Yeah.
Super nice guy, funny. He's donated all kinds of money to ISU. he's just outstanding. And I'm so proud to have him be from our community.
Yeah. Yeah. Both my parents graduated from ISU. I think 3 or 4 of my brothers, including myself, went to ISU. A lot of my cousins went to ISU. My grandparents lived a couple blocks over kind of by Bilo Foods for most of my life. So we just hoof it over there when we were kids. And my grandpa gave me an oscilloscope, and he said that he'd only give it to me if I learned how to use it. And then I didn't learn how to use it for probably another 20 years, but then I finally learned how to use it.
What is that?
It reads the electrical signals, so you can see the phase angles and things like that in electricity.
See,
and
I learned
circuit
something.
Boards and all that other stuff. And
that's great. I learned something. I used to live over there on 17th for quite a few years.
Yeah. So my parents, or my dad at least, grew up there by the greenhouse.
Oh, yeah.
And worked there from when he was a young kid till he's a little bit older. And so a little bit of history in Pocatello.
Yeah, that place has been around a long time. And my father-in-law actually lived right around there as well when he was a child.
Yeah. It's a nice little part of town.
It is. It is a nice little part of town. I like it.
Yeah. So continuing, what advice would you give a new business owner in Pocatello looking to get more involved?
Well, it's a little bit self-serving and obvious, and I do legitimately, honestly, truly believe, get involved with your Chamber of Commerce. If you're not in Pocatello, wherever you are, get involved. And especially with ours, because we are so active. We're so involved with our members and helping them and just letting our members be a part of us. It's like having a humongous family. Like I said, we've got almost 800 businesses, which that extrapolates out to like 5,800 people who are members of the Chamber of Commerce. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of friends to be made, a lot of people that can not just be your friend, but can help you in business, personal advice, just fantastic. We live in a great community, and being a part of your Chamber of Commerce I could not put a price on it. I would never own a business and not be a member of the Chamber of Commerce. I had a businessman here locally, and he's not the only one I've heard say this, but he's retired, and he was talking to me about how big our Chamber of Commerce is getting. And I'm like, I go, you were always a member, weren't you? And he goes, from the day we opened to the day I retired, we were members. He goes, in my view, a member of Chamber of Commerce dues is just part of business. It's just part of business. Mm-hmm. That's an expense you just got to pay every year. And it's not a lot of money. It's a lot of advertising and a lot of involvement for very little investment.
Yeah.
And I love being a part of it.
So what are the requirements for somebody to be part of the chamber?
No requirements at all. Nope. You will have your dues to pay once a year. And then we have an event calendar, and I probably say this 10 times a day. Chamber of Commerce has no requirements for you as a member. If you did something really egregious, we might have to ask you to no longer be a member, but that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. So if you're thinking of starting a business, is that a good move to make?
Oh, absolutely. Because we can right off the bat start you with a big ribbon cutting. And we have recently been working on our relationships with all the media outlets in the area. Mm-hmm. So people that attend a lot of our ribbon cuttings at events will notice that you see the news and reporters and a lot of cameras and phones out all the time at these events now, because we're really, really encouraging that interactivity with the media. So that's a great way to get your business off the ground. Then, like you just saw last week, I always recommend attend Chamber Champions on Tuesdays. Mm-hmm. Great way to meet some really, really wonderful people. I personally lead that group, and I honestly can tell you, I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's like a big group of go-getters.
Yeah, exactly. And one of my favorite parts of that meeting used to start right out at 4:00, but as it developed a bit, I noticed that by starting it straight up at 4:00, I'm interrupting some conversations that maybe they don't mean anything between these two people, but it could be two businesses making a connection. So I always try to allow 10 minutes at the beginning of the meeting for people to just chat. I don't care what you're talking about. Just get to know each other, have a good time. And then we usually get to business at 10 after 4. And I have a strict rule about 5:00. If you're in the middle of a sentence and that clock strikes 5, we're going to interrupt you, because we hold these meetings at restaurants, bars, businesses, and I don't want to intrude on someone's business for over an hour.
Yeah.
And so to me, end it at 5:00, especially if it's like in a restaurant, a bar. A lot of the bars, happy hour starts at 5. we don't want to be taking up a bunch of room in there. Let's let your business flourish. Let your customers get in there. And you came to the one at Jakers. That was great. Yeah, we ended that one, on the dot at 5:00. And sure enough, as I was walking out, they had customers just filing in. And
yeah, I think that's one of those silently appreciated things when you go to some of these meetings and they last 2 hours and you're just like, oh, I am like ready to go to sleep. And man, I don't know why this. And I've always found that good management, when things are managed well, you can usually get what you need said done in an hour or less. Yep. And everybody feels respected and heard, and you don't end up taking 2 hours of somebody's time where they're like, I could have done that in an email,
Yeah. I remember as a kid sitting in church and being like, why does this meeting have to be so long? So you could probably tell from 2 seconds of talking to me, I suffer ADD bad. So having to sit in church for an hour and a half, 2 hours was absolutely agonizing for a kid like me. I mean, it was torturous. And I still feel that way as an adult. So an hour is plenty long for a meeting. 2 hours if it's some big, huge, important thing, but I always try to keep things as abbreviated as possible.
Yeah, I had 6 brothers going to church, so I was never, even if I had ADD or ADHD, I was never bored because we were always poking each other and stuff and getting stares from people, or, you'd have somebody from the pew behind you grab the back of your neck. And
yes. Oh, I've had that many times.
For a few times.
Yep, I've had that more than once. Yeah. Or my dad reaching over and slapping the back of my head,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Or my mom pinching my leg. Stop.
Yep. The good old times of growing up. And I think some of that stuff's, kind of generational things in this area is just like how people grew up. My grandparents kind of went through the Depression and kind of had that mindset.
My parents both came from the very, very poor and in the Depression.
Yep.
Yeah. And I remember in church, I just remember the deal my dad would make me is like, if you can behave yourself all the way through church, you can ride your motorcycle the rest of the day uninterrupted. Just go have fun. Yeah. And so that was always, I always remember sitting in church just like, okay, 20 minutes. 10 minutes, and then I get a ride all day.
And it's like, if your parents only knew how far you could ride on a bike before the sun went down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. There's that meme that goes around all the time, and it's so true. And in this community, for sure.
Oh, yeah. So if you could snap your fingers and make one improvement in Pocatello overnight, what do you think it would be?
That's an easy one for me. I am practically allergic to negativity. So when I read things on social media where people are complaining about our community, that is something I wish I could change. A snap of a finger. It's a huge pet peeve of mine. I'm trying to refrain from commenting on social media, but sometimes it's very difficult for me to not say something because I know how many people are working so hard to make this town as healthy, as productive as possible. And I get truly offended to my core when I hear people complaining about our town. And it's not just my efforts. I see what all these people are doing, and I'm privileged enough to see behind the curtain what's going on to keep this town moving forward and in a positive direction and get more people involved. And so, I wish I could snap my fingers and just say, you guys, there's no need to go posting negative comments about your hometown. I've found that very few people know this. Before a company or an employer, a big one, moves into an area, they will be watching social media and they will see the comments. And I have heard more than once from people in the know, they're like, hey, ABC company decided not to come to Pocatello because they were watching the social media, and they're like, crap, we don't want to make our employees live in a town like that where everybody hates it. But that's what you see on social media, the people that have time to make negative comments.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of where we're doing this podcast is, me and my wife have realized and met a lot of really cool people over the last few years. And we were kind of more homebodies and not being involved, but we weren't, being negative or anything, but we just weren't involved. Yeah. And, we'd kind of have conversations amongst ourselves, like what should we do and all this other stuff. And come to find out that if you get out of your house a little bit and join some of these
Yeah.
some of these organizations,
Yeah.
like the Chamber or Civitans or
Yeah.
Lions
Rotary,
Club
Lions
or
Club,
Rotary.
any of that stuff. Yes.
Like
You meet
you'll find
wonderful
something that you
people.
like to do. Yeah.
Yep. And you meet wonderful people. You find new things in town to do. There's just so much great out there if you just put in the effort to seek. Sometimes you have to look for positivity.
Yeah.
I used to be a very negative person myself. When I graduated from high school, I couldn't imagine myself staying in Pocatello, even though I did for quite a while after high school. And I did not want to come back. But once I got back, I was like, wow, this is an amazing town. And I never want to leave. My wife had an opportunity to move to another town that I don't want to mention. And I just remember clearly going, I'm never leaving Pocatello.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't care how much money that job pays. We're here.
And everybody jokes, you leave here and somehow you get sucked back here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not sucked
And I
back.
used to think that was a bad thing,
no.
but you really do. You can raise your kids really well here.
Yes.
And you really kind of know what to count on when it comes to the culture. And, like we were talking about volunteers, we have a huge amount of volunteers and people that are willing to give their time and not ask for anything in return, except for, that you take the time to use the time that they gave you to improve your life.
Yeah.
And they're not asking for anything extra. It's just, they want to see this town flourish. And that's why we've been kind of being a little picky about who we're having on the podcast, because, we've noticed quite a lot of people that have really great outlooks and have a lot of, I don't know if you'd say clout, but I guess you could say clout, but a lot of influence in the community because of their positions and because of who they are.
Yeah.
And we feel that you're one of those because I see you everywhere.
Oh, well, yeah.
And you've always got a smile on your face. And I know your job's not always easy.
No, not always. And it's like I tell people all the time, I say, treat my ego like a gremlin after midnight. Do not feed it. I've got plenty of ego.
Yep.
But I really, really appreciate those kind words. And you're exactly right. Because I would say occasionally the hard part of my job, very infrequently, but it is difficult when there's not great things going on, but in my position, I still have to put on that smiling face and learn to block certain things out.
Yeah, and we're all human and stuff happens and you do your best, deal with certain situations. Yep. We have things that happen in our community that happen in lots of other communities that you just kind of got to see it for what it is and continue to be positive. And
yeah, exactly. And I always try to be positive and smiling. You never know, everybody has a story and you don't necessarily know what that story is. And so I always try to be the guy that, if somebody is going through a difficult chapter of their life right now, I enjoy being the guy that can maybe possibly tell you a joke or something, or just make you smile, bring a minute or two of happiness into your life. You may be dealing with a death in your family, a sickness in your family at home. Well, when you're out here at the Chamber of Commerce, I want to provide an environment where you can step away from that and just have fun, enjoy yourself, smile, and help develop businesses in our community at the same time.
Yeah. It's kind of like you're saying, like it being a family, you show up, you can sit and joke around, sit and talk with these people. And then, by the way, you're going to get a couple of these other things done too.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
and you'll never regret being involved in your community. I will promise you that.
Yeah. So what role, as we've been talking about volunteers, what role do volunteers and community members play in the success of local initiatives like the Greenway and the other things that you're involved with?
Yeah. So I'm on the board of the Greenway Foundation, which we already discussed. I'm on the board of directors. I'm a committee chairman on Portneuf Valley Partners, and I'm also a commissioner on the Pocatello Development Authority. And a lot of this stuff with Portneuf Valley Partners and the Greenway Foundation, without volunteers, it couldn't be done. I'm trying to remember who it was wanted the Greenway Foundation to pay rent on some parking area or something. And I was just like, I don't know where you think this money's going to come from. And I remember this person being, well, don't you guys pay dues or something? You got to have some kind of income. I'm like, no. I go, the Greenway Foundation, we are very strict about not taking taxpayer money. The Greenway has been built by volunteers and donations. and a few grants. And we are so fortunate to have such generous people who are from Pocatello and maybe moved away. I hope I'm not getting in trouble by mentioning this, but the Abrazewski family, they don't even live here anymore, but they still donate large amounts of money to the Greenway Foundation. And there is something, fingers, toes, legs, arms, everything crossed, is about to hopefully be announced with the Greenway, that family that doesn't even live here made possible. And they love this community so much because their son was a heart surgeon, and he came through Pocatello and just loved it so much that he never left. Yeah. He was tragically killed in a kayaking accident a few years back. But everyone I've ever spoken to that had the privilege of meeting this doctor, everyone just says he was just such a wonderful, wonderful guy. So it's things like that. The Bisline Foundation, the Abrazewski family, a lot of that kind of stuff. We get a lot of grants, a lot of donations that really, that's what we thrive on. Port Neuf Valley Partners, same thing. There's no income there. We live on grants and volunteers to get things done.
Yeah. There's a lot of that stuff that you just really don't always recognize or realize is going on until, you start doing it.
Yep. And I had somebody not long ago, the new city entrance sign that it's been up for almost 2 years, but we're still tweaking on it a little bit. That one that has a great big, huge Pocatello in the stainless steel letters out on South 5th.
Yeah.
We're still making some changes on that because we realize that the letters don't stand out enough. So be watching for a change on that. But I did have somebody comment to me one time, not realizing that I was the committee chair that did that. And they're like, oh, just stupid things like putting up that big city entrance sign and wasting our taxpayer money. And I just very politely said, if you don't mind, if I could explain something to you. I go, I'm the chair of that committee. I go, and there wasn't one dime of taxpayer money that went into that. I go, we raised the money. We got grants. We got even the rocks behind it were donated by the Kirk family. And I remember calling them, I'm like, hey, can you guys donate? And they were just like, oh, of course. How many truckloads do you need? And I'm like, well, probably one or two, and they're like, absolutely. Yep. We'll donate them. And then even the great big stainless steel letters that are there, that was done by city employees, but on their own time.
Nice.
Yeah. And the stainless steel was surplus stainless steel that they had. So things like that in a community like this, we don't have that much income. We don't have the tax base that Idaho Falls, Boise does. I would love to have a great big city entrance sign with a waterfall and everything like Idaho Falls does, but
big old eagles.
Yeah, the great big eagle. Yeah, it's like that would be well and good and wonderful, but we just don't have the tax base they do.
Yeah,
at least so we do what we can. At least exactly. Hopefully, just not yet. And so that is something that I think just again points to such wonderful things about our community.
Absolutely, yeah. I never thought that I'd like Pocatello because I'm Blackfoot native, you know. And my dad grew up here, and I was like, oh, whatever. And I've been a lot of places in the world, and kind of just feel comfortable here.
I remember when we moved here, we lived in Brigham City, Utah, and moved to Pocatello. My dad got a real good job. He's the Federal Railroad inspector, and he was stationed here in Pocatello. And I just remember when we told my grandpa we were moving here, and he just kind of sighed and shook his head, and he's like, that ain't nothing but a dirty, old, rough railroad town. Why are you moving your kids there? And that's what that older generation, that's what they thought of Pocatello. And so when I got here as a kid, I'm like, well, this is kind of cool. There's all sorts of, we lived clear up here.
We got bike trails,
motorcycles. I grew up out in the fields
canals
with shovels
to go swimming in.
Yes, and building jumps, and it's great. And there's so many kids that don't have that opportunity growing up. So we're very fortunate.
Yeah. I've really found it to be a lot of fun, especially starting this podcast and starting to talk to our first few guests. A lot of you guys are so busy that I don't come up to you and just chat with you at meetings or any of that other stuff because there's just so much going on all the time in the community that, I'm like, well, I'm not going to waste their time. Yeah. So we really appreciate the time that everybody's taking out of their day to come and chat with us.
Thoroughly enjoy helping. I mean, and I legitimately do. I love doing this kind of stuff. Anything I can do to help spread the positivity and the image of Pocatello, I am absolutely down with doing anytime I can.
Yeah. So is there anything else you'd like to share with the community?
Yeah, stay positive. Let's keep this momentum going that we have in this beautiful, beautiful area that we live. There's so much here. And if you're not seeing it, get involved. Come on out. We're all friendly. We're all accepting. Promise you won't regret it.
All righty. Well, I'm going to ask you one more question, then we'll wrap it up.
Have rather. Yeah.
All right. So what does being Pocatello proud mean to you?
Oh, wow. There is so much. Oh my gosh. Just always putting forth a positive face on our community. You will never or almost never hear me complain about anything going on around here, even though there are things that I don't agree with, that I don't like. You know, I don't know everything, you know, and maybe the people in charge of that project or whatever's going on there, maybe they know something I don't, you know, so let it run its course. I'm not going to be one that sits here and bangs on a negative drum trying to keep things, you know, I there's just some people out there that I think get some kind of joy, some kind of pleasure out of bringing other people down. Mm-hmm. I can't stand that.
Yeah.
I'll always be pushing people forward.
Yeah. I've had my friend's dad told me years and years ago, but he's like, I'll never judge you on what you've done or where you've been. I judge you on where you're headed right now.
Oh, that's great.
So if you're headed somewhere positive, I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
If you're headed somewhere negative, I'll give you a word of caution and let you be on your way.
Yep.
You know,
and that's perfect. You know, I haven't always been this, you know, positive beat guy. I've had chapters in my life where, you know, people just couldn't even stand to be around me because I was just so down and negative, bitter about life. And it took me longer than it should have to realize I am causing this. I need to change my heart and my attitude and my outlook on life. And since I made that decision some years ago, my life then and my life now being focused on positivity and helping others, there's very little comparison. I'm so much of a happier person now than I used to be. And it's just because I got involved with my community.
Yeah, it's kind of like tuning into a radio station. If you turn into garbage, then
you're
going to get
garbage in, garbage out. Yeah, and I've been talking about how fortunate I am to be in this community. I'm also fortunate to have a great wife and wonderful kids and extended family that I'm just so happy they're all here. You know, I live like a mile from my mom, and it's wonderful when she needs help. She's 91, so when she needs help, I can get there in a hurry. And I'm very, very grateful for having immediate and extended family and friends. That is just wonderful.
Yep. And a community that comes together when hard things happen. I
Absolutely. Think. Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate everything that you do for the community, and we appreciate you coming on the podcast. You know,
anytime.
We're here to make things a little bit better in Pocatello. And
I love it.
Glad we could interview you, and glad you took the time.
Yeah, I'm very glad I could make the time and get here. This is wonderful. I'm thrilled with what you're doing. I hope this podcast takes off like crazy. I hope it becomes the biggest dang podcast in the country. So I love what you're doing. Keep it up. Keep at it. And if I can help you in any way, never hesitate to ask.
Well, right on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have a great day.
And you as well. Thanks.